Out of all the pack premiums that War Thunder added in its recent Dance of Dragons update, the FFA P-16 was the only one that really interested me. Granted, it wasn't really hard, seeing it was the only one that wasn't a copy of a tech tree vehicle. The FFA P-16 was an early Swiss prototype jet with its development roots reaching all the way back to 1947. Shortly after the end of World War II, the Swiss went right into modernizing its military capabilities, seeking designs for a jet-powered aircraft, of which the technology had only really taken off a few years prior. In the search for a new homegrown jet, several Swiss companies would take a shot at it, including EFW and FFA. Both of those are acronyms for companies that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. FFA's design, designated the P-16, was originally envisioned as a supersonic fighter bomber which would operate from remote airstrips in the Alps. By 1950, the Swiss military decided to buy subsonic jet fighters from the British, but they were still on the hunt for a supersonic capable fighter. In 1952, the Swiss military ordered 2 P-16 prototypes from FFA. The first of these prototypes had its first flight in April 1955, followed shortly thereafter by its destruction in a crash in late August the same year. In late 1956, the second prototype had finally reached the goal of breaking the sound barrier, and then proceeded to have fairly extensive testing with another 300 completed flights by early 1958. In March 1958, the P-16 would undergo a redesign, which was designated the Mark II, and the Swiss military would order 100 of these jets. The first of these Mark II P-16s would accomplish 102 flights during March 1958, but was ultimately destroyed in a crash on March 25th. This crash would lead the Swiss government to cancel the entire contract, and they proceeded to purchase Hawker Hunters from the British instead. After that, the last remaining P-16 prototype was put into a museum, and the whole aircraft really just became a footnote in history. In War Thunder, the FFA P-16 is a Rank 6 9.0 battle rating pack premium jet for the German tree. I actually didn't have that bad of a time playing the P-16. I'm currently sitting at a 2 KD and a 67% win rate. I did have some issues with the jet, which I'll cover in my breakdown, but overall this is really all you can ask for at 9.0. Now into the details as always, starting from the back, where we'll find the Siddeley Sapphire 7 engine telling us that this P-16 that we have in game is the only produced Mark II prototype. I'd hate to think what kind of engine they had in the first prototypes because this engine is slow to get up to speed. When taking the P-16 out in air battles, it's not uncommon to be one of the last 2 or 3 aircraft finally getting off the runway, but you do get ahead of the pack by the time you're crossing over your team's bases. Although I will say that I was carrying enough ordnance to take a base whenever I was going into air battles, so it could go faster. And forget about this jet being supersonic. The only time that I've gone faster than 0.9 Mach is when I've been diving for the deck. You do get an air brake if you're trying to slow down really fast though. Speaking of ordnance, the P-16 gets a lot of options, but not a lot of useful options, if you know what I'm saying. If you're trying to grind bases in air battles, you really only have 2 options. You can either take 4 400 kilogram napalm bombs, or you can take the 2 2,000 pound bombs with the nose rockets. With the napalm bombs being only 400 kilograms, you have to use 3 to take a base, so sadly you can only take 1 base with either loadout, and with the 2,000 pound bombs, you also have to hit the base with your nose rockets to actually finish off the base. For air-to-air weaponry, you're stuck with 2 AIM-9Bs, although this plane does get a pair of 30mm Hispano cannons, which are actually the same ones found on the Italian Ariete and Sagittario too. Just be careful with your ammo, you only have 240 rounds. You also get no countermeasures, although at 9.0 you won't really find yourself up against any missiles that you can outpull if you're paying attention. When going into ground battles, the P-16 has a few more options. You can carry up to 48 of either HE or heat rockets, and you have access to dumb bombs of varying sizes. I can't aim rockets for the life of me, so in ground battles I took a loadout of 4 400 kilogram bombs, 2 AIM-9Bs, and the nose-mounted rockets. In air battles, I took the 2 2,000 pound bombs, 2 AIM-9Bs, and the nose-mounted rockets. Going back to the breakdown of this jet, I need to make a special call out for this jet's wing flaps. If you break these, you cannot control the roll of the aircraft, so don't try to use your combat flaps if you're going too fast, because you'll just rip off all your flaps and you won't be able to control the plane. Ask me how I found out about that one. The only other things of note on the jet are that the fuel tanks at the ends of the wings are not self-sealing, although thankfully the one inside the body of the jet is. Also, this jet only gets a CCRP bombing computer. Overall, I can pretty confidently say that I'd rather have the P-16 over any other jet in rank 6 of Germany. The real question is, should you buy it? And that's not such a straightforward answer. If you're looking to pick up the P-16 to be a CAS plane for the honestly overpowered 9.0 German lineup, then I think that it's a good pickup. Your only real competition there is the F-84F, and recently Gaijin took away its CCIP bombing computer, so it doesn't have that anymore. And it doesn't have nose rockets that the P-16 has. And it has worse guns. And it doesn't have AIM-9Bs for the rare occasion that you'll use those. If you're thinking of picking up the P-16 as a way to grind out the German air tree, this is where I honestly can't recommend it. The P-16 is only rank 6, so it can't effectively research all of the German air tree. Also, if you spend just a little more money, Germany has 2 rank 7 pack premiums that do each of their respective jobs better than the P-16. If you want to go the route of base bombing, the Tornado will be able to take more bases faster, and if you want to be a fighter, the Lazur has 6 R-60s. Which isn't really the glowing recommendation that it once was, but it's better than the 2 AIM-9Bs on the P-16. I'd go with the Tornado out of the 3 of them, but I don't mind mindlessly base bombing for hours. Well, that's all I've got for the FFA P-16. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.